My name is Vincent Cheng, the founder of Malaysian Real Estate Network, and you can visit us at realestatenetwork.my. I'll be hosting this webinar on Facebook marketing for real estate using the Freedom Entrepreneur Way, and our fan page is at www.facebook.com/Malaysian Real Estate Network. Right, and of course, apart from that, let's begin with the slides formally. Right. Again, at the time, the screenshot when I did this screenshot for Malaysian Real Estate Network, we had only about 19,000, right? So currently we have close to about 22,000. It's growing about 100 to 200 fans per day, right? And what is a real estate negotiator's business in a simplistic manner? Okay, the first thing is they have to do three things correctly, which is acquire listing, acquire the property listing, and then market the listing, and then of course build networks. So this is the three things which real estate negotiators need to master in surviving in the real estate and property business, right? And of course the next one is real estate agents business made simple. So in Malaysia we have something called the negotiator and the agent. The agents are the people who have taken exams and become agents or agency owners that recruit negotiators, and they are supposed to manage and support negotiators, and of course acquire and market exclusive property developments. So these are the three things real estate agents need to do in order to thrive and succeed in the real estate agency business. Right, so the thoughts of a seller on a negotiator or an agency before they allow you to actually take the listing and market and sell it for them, it's really three things. What are your strategies for marketing my property? So they think about what is the strategy which you have, what is your credibility, and what is your ability to sell the real estate listing for them before they actually give you the listing. Of course, the other thing which goes through their mind is how big is your social following, meaning how big is your network, and number three is who follows you and how engaged are they. Meaning if you say you have like 100 or 1,000 people in your network, they will also question how close are you with the people in your network before they trust you with their listing, right? So for negotiators, okay, how do you actually use online social media like Facebook to be good in the real estate business? So basically you can use social media to manage time and appointments and communications. You can build personal branding and networks, and of course use online to acquire and market listings. So these are the three things which negotiators should be using. The three things which the three reasons, sorry, that negotiators should be using social media to for their business, right? Okay. So the next thing is what real estate agents need from social media like Facebook is they can use Facebook to position their agency for recruitment. They can understand how online can assist in managing and supporting their negotiators. So a lot of negotiators are actually on Facebook. And they can actually use Facebook to build online branding to acquire projects for marketing. Right, I'll illustrate a little bit more in the next slides as we go along. All right, so let's move on. So before we actually look into marketing or branding or using Facebook for the real estate business, we have to understand there's 4 different generations within Facebook, right? The first generation, which is the oldest generation, will be baby boomer. They are born between 1946 to 64. They are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, right? And then there is the Generation X, which is born between 1965 to 1977. Okay, right. Depends on which textbook you look into or which source you look into. You can see that even as you're born in 1978 right up to the year 2000, right, you are Generation Y. This is what we call as the millennial generation, the generation of the digital generation, right? Okay, so, and of course the Generation Z, which is like my daughters and your children. which is born between 2000 and above, right? So they could be, oldest could be 13 this year, and the youngest could be just getting born, right? And so we have different lingo when we talk about these different generations. Okay, when a baby boomer could be speaking a different language, in Facebook, Generation X or Y could be speaking differently, and obviously even Generation Z. The legal age to be on Facebook really is above 13 years old, right? They may change or base this policy, but we don't know. But from what I gather is the legal age to be on Facebook is really above 13 years old, right? Okay, so let's move on. So before we market to a real estate, we got to understand the Generation Y generation and characteristics, right? Because they form the biggest amount of people within Facebook. Let me just quickly go over here and pull out this, and let's go to facebook.com/advertising. Okay, and if you have access to this your browsers after this webinar, you can actually log in and check out and create an advertisement within Facebook, right? And you can actually see that let me just type in a fan page to advertise. Okay, so but what I want to bring your attention to is really the amount of people right here, which is of the Generation Y. Okay, let's look into age between 20 to 35. So I personally was born in 1978, so I'm like pretty much the last of the Generation Y, the oldest of the Generation Y. So as you can see, in Malaysia alone, there's about 8.4 million. Let's try Singapore. Okay. All right, I'm just going to close that so that in Singapore alone, there's about 1.7 million out of, let's try, like I said, age 13, starting age 13 on Facebook, right up to no max, right here. So 1.7 million over 3.2 million. So it forms about 60% of the population in Singapore. In Malaysia, let's try that, 20 to 35. Okay, 20 to 35, it's really at 8.4 million people out of Generation Y, out of the total amount of Facebook users at 15 million people. So that's pretty much around the same as Singapore, about 60% people on Facebook in both countries, right? So the next thing I'd like to bring attention to is really another website which is kind of interesting for you to check out, which is actually internetworldstats.com. And if you look at the Asia stats, if you're from Asia, Asia has close to about 1 billion users, okay, on the internet as of 30th of June, right? And the rest of the world about 1.3 billion, right? And the interesting thing which I want to bring your attention to is out of 2.4 billion people in the world using the internet, about 1 billion of them is on Facebook. It's pretty much like 40 to 50% of the entire online population is actually on Facebook, and that's a really good opportunity for a business, right? So that's something which I want to bring your attention to about the enormity and the humongous amount of people in Facebook, which may be within your prospect, but let's come back to the presentation. So knowing that we have a 60% population of Generation Y on Facebook, so we have to in some ways understand what is their characteristics, right? So they have about 8 characteristics which you need to consider before you sell them properties. The first thing is they want freedom in everything that they do, right? Do not micromanage them. They love to customize and personalize. When they get a corporate laptop or a handphone, they will change the wallpaper from the corporate logo right up to their own kind of uh, preferred wallpaper, right? They are also scrutinizers and check people up online before they work for or with anybody, right? They will Google you up before they actually want to work for you. They look for corporate integrity and openness when deciding what to buy and where to work. What that simply means is they want equality. They don't want a baby boomer, older guy to come and tell them, hey, you should do your work like this. They don't like to be condescended, right? They also want entertainment and playing their work. If you take away Facebook and YouTube away from their desktop, to them you're uncool and they may not want to actually work for you. Apart from that, they are also a collaboration and relationship generation. They are very connected socially via Facebook and social media. They are a generation of speed and innovators. They can actually churn out proposals and content and ideas very fast because of the advent of Google search engine, and they can actually mesh a few different pieces of information together and innovate based on those information. So these are the 8 characteristics of the Generation Y which you may want to take note before you sell them properties, right? So don't condescend them, be open with them, be friendly with them, because 60% of the people on Facebook is really from the Generation Y. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay, some of you normally in my sessions in talking to real estate agencies and negotiators, I would ask, would you sell a property to this guy, right? Would you sell a property to this guy? A guy who wears slippers, jeans, and shirt to work? Would you actually consider selling a property to Generation Y like that, who seems not suited up and do not have a jacket on with a necktie, right? Well, most people under normal circumstances, especially the older generation, will say, I may not want to sell property to this guy because he may not have money because he looks very young. But little did they know that this picture is actually a picture of Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, who have close to over 50 billion, dollars, means his company is now worth $50 billion and above and growing, and he's got a lot of money in his pocket to be able to buy any property from you. So do not look down on the Generation Y. They may have money to buy properties from you, so just understand them, like I said in the previous slide right here in Gen Y characteristics. Okay, the next one is how many Malaysians are on Facebook right now. I showed it to you. It's about, I think it's about 17 million, right? 17 million Malaysians on Facebook, and out of that, it's about 9 million is Generation Y. What are the demographics? I think it's about half male, half female, right? And how big is Facebook? It's about 1 billion. How does it relate to social media marketing? It's Facebook is one of the 4 different social media around town, which is I'll just list it out here quickly, and with my pen right here with a software quickly, okay, to show you and draw on the board for you guys to see while this is happening, right? Okay, let's see, and then right, I'm just gonna actually use this and write it in red. Okay, and yeah, practically the 4 social media platforms, if I may quickly write it down, is really social networks, okay, like Facebook, wikis, okay, I'm sorry there, wikis, and forums and blogs. So that's like 4 different categories of what we call as social media, right? So that is something for you to ponder upon. So social networks like Facebook, wikis, forums, blogs, 4 categories of social media in this simplistic sense. All right. So let's move on to the next slide. All right. Let's get it back on a mouse cursor. Right. Yeah. Actually, it's already prepared in the next slide. So I'm just gonna actually clean this up and yeah, just illustrate this slide. Okay, so the 4 categories of social media may I present to you: social networks like Facebook, forum, blogs, and wikis. When we mention about Web 2.0 right here, up here, okay, it's really about a two-way communication. Before the year 2004, which is the era of Web 1.0, I've got to pull back this software up here to present better so that we can understand this in more clarity. So, right, so let me just get it back on this. Okay, cool. Right, so before of the year 2004, we were in the era of Web 1.0, which is what we call as one-way communication. Okay, so after, okay, I'm trying to get this ink out. After 2004, which is when YouTube and Friendster and MySpace came about, we are in the era of Web 2.0, right? Which is a two-way communication web, where you can speak back to a website and tell the things you are thinking in your mind and in your brains. So this is one way. This is pretty much like a traditional media. They publish and you just listen, but in Web 2.0, you they publish, you listen, and you feedback as well. And pretty much like you do a Facebook comment or a Facebook chat or even a blog, and in reply to and do a reply to the blog. Okay, so that is the different categories of social media. I'm just going to clean this up, okay, and move on to the next slide as we go. Right. Oops. Right. Okay. So, of course, all forms of social media, especially Facebook, is built upon the concept of what we call as 6 degrees of separation. Means in a line of 6 connections, in some ways you are connected to someone who you know, he knows someone else, who knows someone else, who knows someone else, who knows someone else, who knows the person whom you want to be connected to, right? You could be the president of the United States. If you run through like a line of 6 people, right, you will hit the person you want to connect with. So 6 degrees of separation is the concept in which it says everybody somehow is connected, and you can actually get to know anybody via mutual friends and even do business with them. So, and of course, 6 degrees of separation forms a very strong part or a main part of what we call as the word of mouth marketing. All right, so just have to give you guys some concepts before I continue. So what have we studied so far? Let me just go back a few slides. Okay, first thing is we studied there's a generational gap. What are the real estate agents and negotiators doing? Apart from that, a little bit about Facebook, the concept of social media, and we talk about 6 degrees of separation, and let's continue from here. All right. Okay. Right. So the next thing which we want to talk about is social technographics. Okay, it's created by these brilliant people from Forrester Research that says that different people engage social media and also internet differently and at different levels. So let me just illustrate the different categories of people within the social technographics category. Okay, so inactives are people who don't even have engagement via smartphones. They don't have a smartphone, they don't have a computer, they don't know how to use email, they don't really care about the digital world. So that's inactives right here. Okay. Oops. The next one is spectators, right? Spectators are people who actually read blogs, watch video from other users, listen to podcasts, read online forums, and read customer ratings and reviews. But they are not like joiners who at least maintain a profile on a social networking site like Facebook, right? Spectators are just watchers. They are online, but they just read and consume online content. They are not participating in any form of engaging in the social scene in the online platforms, right? The next one is, of course, the collectors. Collectors are people who use RSS feeds, add text to web pages, and they download stuff like white papers and even movies and stuff for self-consumption. They download stuff to consume, right? They download content to consume. They don't create or put back to the internet and contribute back to the internet ecosystem. Right. Of course, the next thing we want to talk about is the critics, right? The critics is the people who post ratings, reviews, comment on someone else's blog, or like if you have done commenting on other people's pictures on Facebook, then you are a critic. Critic doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It could be a positive criticism on saying your baby is cute and your dress is sexy and it looks really good on you. So those are critics and people who talk about other people's content, all right? And of course, there are the creators, which is the people who own social media and online assets like a blog. They publish their own web pages. They upload. They have their own YouTube channel. They create their own music and upload them, and they write articles and publish them online. Or like they create their own fan page and post their original content, right? And they keep churning out stuff and contribute back to the internet so other people can read it, consume it, watch it, and whatever not. With their content, right? So that is the 6 different categories and levels of people in social technographics. How well and what is the level of their engagement with the internet and digital technology. So that is social technographics. So these are concepts which you should understand before you start marketing on Facebook and internet as a whole, right? So going on to the next slide. What is then we have to understand something called social dynamics. Social dynamics is pretty much what we call as your influence power. Your influence power. What that simply means is how influential are you? Are you searchable on the internet? Can people find you? Can people know you? If people search your name, what do they find, right? So how credible are you online? And of course, what economy are we in right now? The economy we are in right now is really the attention economy, not really the capital economy. Let me just write it down quickly so you guys can understand what I'm trying to say here. Okay, right. So what economy are we in right now? It's basically attention economy, right? It is no more the capital economy. So if you're good with this, you can make a lot of money. All right, so basically you need to have credibility, especially in the real estate business. Is word of mouth. And what economy are we in right now? We are in the attention economy, all right? And does money really matter? Yes, but not as important as attention, because if with attention you can get back all the money, right? And of course, it's what we call a social currency. How strong or how influential you are, all right? So that is social dynamics, okay? How powerful you are in terms of social influence. So it comes back to the credibility which you're trying to build. If you want to use Facebook to actually attract people to, buy and sell properties with you, right? Since you are in the real estate industry. So, okay, let me move on, right? And I'll clean this up and move on. Okay, clean this up and this. Right, next slide. So the old school marketing flow is really advertise into newspaper, TV, radio, and wait for returns and dump in $1 million, and hopefully those ads hit a lot of people, and it's high cost, and channels used are newspaper, TV, and radio. But it doesn't really work that well anymore, because even if you dump $1 million or a lot of money in all this traditional media, it may not actually get the attention because everybody's turning into digital platforms to get their news, their engagement, and their time is mostly spent online. So that's why we call this the old school marketing flow, as you can see on the top right here. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. The new school marketing flow is really about getting attention, and then after that, getting people to like you, trust you, and ultimately buy from you. So it's a 4-step process, pretty much like if you go to a bar and you see a lady, and the first thing you go up to her is not actually to kiss her first, but actually to give her a drink. When you give her a drink, you get what we call as, let me just throw it out here, positive attention, right? Okay, let me just get that out. Okay, positive attention. Okay, by giving out the drink. So how do you do it online? Basically, you give away free information and free tips. Okay, free info and free tips on real estate. Okay, on property, right? Not too much until you reveal too much. You just give enough to entice them and to tempt them in some ways to actually pay attention to you a little bit more. And after that, you give them some more content, some more stuff, some more giving. Okay, and from then on, you show them your credibility. All right, and from then on, okay, they will actually, over time, they will trust you enough to buy from you. Okay, right, so that is a 4-step process in the new school way of marketing. So it leverages online word of mouth through ClickPath, word of mouth, and 6 degrees of separation, as I've mentioned just now. So the closing rate is higher because credibility has been built. So let me just move on to the next slide to illustrate a little bit more about this. So I'm just going to clean up this. Okay, I'm going to clean up this, and I'm going to actually take this and click to the next slide. So how do you maximize Facebook for property business, right? So that's the thing which we have been waiting for the entire webinar. So I've established some basics of online and social media marketing. And let's move into Facebook and zoom in so that you guys can understand how to use Facebook for marketing your property business, right? So Facebook, a lot of people, they think about only this part of Facebook, which is profile. Oops, sorry. A lot of people, when they go on Facebook, they think about only profile. They forgot about the fan page, they forgot about the groups, they forgot about advertisement, they forgot about chatting up people, they forgot about events, and even applications, okay? All they do is basically they just comment and spam their wall. It's like, I've got a 24 by 70 feet bungalow to sell, so buy from me, please. You know, just call me. You know, it's pretty much like going up to the girl in the bar and say, I want to kiss you right now, and just go ahead and just kiss that woman and say, I love you, and then get a real tight slap. It's pretty much doing that when you are doing it on your profile, right? So basically, let's explore what's the the different components in Facebook briefly on how we can use it to maximize your property business, right? So I'm just going to actually switch over to the browser, okay, and I'm just going to disconnect my writing tablet here, okay, and I'm going to pull my Facebook browser here so that you guys can see this properly, and clean up the screen a little bit, right? And change it back to a mouse cursor, right? So now I just want to show you the difference between a fan page and a profile. Okay, so a lot of people actually got this mixed up and they use it in the wrong way, right? But there's not much of what do you call, difference to the normal people actually. So I'm just going to pull this out and put it side by side with the my profile. That is a fan page just now I just pulled out, right? So what's the difference really? So I'm just going to actually put it side by side like this. Okay, and then take this. Okay, now I'll just keep that there. And I'm just going to put it side by side. Okay. To the naked normal eye, there's not much of a difference here actually, right? Some will actually say, hey, both of them are profiles and fan, or both of them is actually fan page, because there's pretty much no difference, right? There's a cover photo on the top, and there's one cover photo on the top, and there's a small thumbnail picture right here. Okay, so on the left, this is what we call as a fan page. Okay, let me just use this to illustrate this a little bit cleaner. Okay, I'm just gonna actually use this and change the color, and this is a fan page. Okay, and this is a Facebook profile, right? So what's the difference, right? So profile has friends, fan page has fans and likes, so it's two different things. Obviously, and what other things you can see from the difference between a profile? Profile, you share family and social stuff. You don't spam people with, I've got a 24 by 70 feet property to sell, please buy from me, call me, call me, call me. So that's spam. So this is you share about your professional stuff. So there's two different things when you use these two different components in Facebook, right? Right, so I'm just going to actually clean that up and show you a little bit more about Facebook fan page. If you click this part, you will see a bunch of new stuff. People can actually message you, and you can actually have data right here where you can actually click. Wow, it's amazing the amount of data you can actually see. Each fan page post actually show you the virality and how much engagement you're getting from people, and which country of people is coming to like your fan page, right? I'm just going to actually put this on full screen and maximize it a little bit for you guys to see. Right, so in my fan page, there's about 4,000 Malaysians and about 3,000 United States people and about 1,000 Indonesians. So different countries, people liking my page, right? And these are the demographics of the people, their age group, and their female, their gender, their sex or gender. So profile don't have that. Profile just have just this. You know, you post and you post and you post, and hopefully people like it, right? So, but a fan page have what we call as insights. You can actually see insights and right here. Okay, so that's a quick brief on the difference between this and this. So, right, okay. The other thing is, in a fan page, you can actually build what do you call credibility, right? So like Vincent Chang, you're sincere real estate negotiator, and you get like this kind of likes of like 15,000 likes. Instantly you got social currency, which I mentioned in about one slide or two before, right? That actually helps in establishing trust. Like I mentioned, attention, like, trust, buy. If they see that you are a credible person, they will trust you a little bit more, right? Versus using a profile which is very family oriented, as you can see. It may work for some, but it may not work for all. But try not to use your profile to actually try and sell properties, because it's unprofessional, because people don't want to look at your profile and all the time see you talking about properties and properties and properties and properties without really knowing you as a person. Because we are on social media. Social and media. You got to be social rather than just treat it as a media, right? So market at the right platforms. Let me just go back to the slide right here and just pull this away to another monitor. Okay. All right. So okay. So let's move on to the next slide, right? Okay. I'm just gonna actually pull this away. So now at least you guys understand the difference between a profile and fan page. Many people, especially even real estate negotiators, when I talk to them about it, about Facebook, they don't even understand the difference between the profile and the fan page. All right. Of course, we've got groups. So I'm just going to briefly go through this. Groups, you can use it for, in Malaysia we got something called co-broking and co-agency. I'm not too sure in other countries, right? Basically, you can create groups so that people can actually use it to co-broke or co-agent. Means a agent or negotiator have a listing, the other agent or negotiator have a buyer, so they can actually close the deal and get half the commission instead of the full commission kind of thing, right? So you can actually do joint ventures by joining Facebook groups or starting a Facebook group with which you can work with other agents, real estate agents and real estate negotiators, right? Of course, okay, then of course there's the chatting feature. The chatting feature basically is for you to build trust. Remember, there's 4 phases to actually really getting exposure and ultimately to a buying decision. Let me just get this up and write it down. So in chatting, right, what you're doing is, remember, there's the 4 phase: the attention, okay, the like, the trust, and the buy. And how do you use it? How do you get this? So the chat actually is pointing towards the like and the trust. You chat them up. The attention actually comes from the profile or the fan page, right? And ultimately, when you chat them enough, so you close the deal offline. You got to still sign the sales and purchase agreement, right? You still got to meet your client and do some house visitation and the site visitation of your mentioned property, right? So that's how you use chat, right? To build like and trust. And of course, if you want more attention, you advertise. Okay, you advertise using the Facebook ads. Okay, so in groups you do co-broke, or you form investor, or shouldn't use that word anymore, co-agent. Okay, right, co-agent. And of course, you can build investor groups and put them inside here. So when you've got good property, you just broadcast it in this group. So that's another way of using Facebook for properties, right? Of course, you use events, which is also creating the like and trust. But when people see you face to face, they trust you more, and ultimately you can actually close the sale, like project launches and the new property launches. You can use events to close the deal and then get some buying decision, right? So which is an offline thing, because events are offline, right? At this point, I'm not too sure about other countries, but you don't really you're not really able to buy properties online completely or totally yet, right? So you still have to do it offline a little bit. Of course, apps can actually help you get attention. If you got a viral app, and of course build some trust. Apps aren't really like you can actually install apps to actually put videos. Like, let me show you to build credibility and get more like and trust. Let me just quickly show you what I mean by that. And hopefully this, okay, on Malaysian Real Estate Network, I'm just going to actually pull it to the screen on the left here. We've got an app which you can click here, and it's actually within Facebook, and it can show you a series of property investment videos, right? So that actually is a Facebook app, right? As you can see, it's a Facebook app. So you can build Facebook app on top of your fan page to build and to put in videos and like a bunch of stuff from your website, and because it's pretty much a window towards something out there. So this video is hosted somewhere on another web page, but pulled into this Facebook window right here to display all the stuff from that external web page. Right? I'm not too sure how many of you got that, but really it's a window to another web page, where that web page you can do whatever you want. You can actually put in like a squeeze page. A squeeze page practically is something like this. Let me show you. Okay, quickly. right here. Okay, and a squeeze. You can actually paste this entire web page to collect name and information from people, and actually build an app for it and put it right inside Facebook here, so that when people come to your fan page or this app, they can actually put in their username and their email and their mobile phone for them to contact them. So in some ways, you're building leads for yourself, for a prospect for your property business. So that's a quick one on Facebook apps. All right. So hopefully you guys got the entire structure of Facebook. It's not limited only to profile. Please remember there are components like fan page, groups. You can use it for advertising, chat, events, and apps. All right. So, and let me just clean this up and move on. Right. And let's move on to the next slide. Okay. Like, so basically, let's do a checklist on, are you on Facebook so that your prospect can at least find you, at least get a profile and start a fan page and build the likes using advertising, right? Do you know the difference between Facebook profile and Facebook fan page? So that's what I shared just now. And a Facebook group is practically an equal place where people can share stuff on property. It could be co-agency or a bunch of investors or a bunch of real estate negotiators helping each other out. Okay, that's one way you can actually use Facebook groups. Or even if you're an agency owner, you can use Facebook groups to communicate with all your agents and your salespeople, right? Are you aware that you can build location-centric Facebook page or a group to acquire prospects and listings? What I mean by that is, right, so like I mentioned, we founded Malaysian Real Estate Network so that we can group people. Let's say you can actually group people from like Kepong or Damansara or Kuala Lumpur Real Estate Network or something. We don't mind you doing that because it's a different set of location, a different demographic and geographic which you're targeting, so that you can build numbers towards it, and you can build a following within that targeted area which you are farming. You see, one of the things to be successful in a real estate negotiation business and agency business is really to focus on an area, right? Let's say you want to focus on Orchard Road in Singapore, then you can build Orchard Road Real Estate Network or something like that. Or if in Malaysia you want to target things like Damansara Real Estate Network, so you attract all the Damansara investors and stuff like that. So that's a quick tip on that. Are you aware that you can, okay, that's done. Do you currently use chat to build a relationship like I just shared with you? Okay, you got to chat people up. Okay, do you agree that Facebook is the new communication tool like TV and mobile phone used to be new 20 or 30 years ago? Yeah, basically Facebook is like the new TV. Facebook is like the new handphone. Facebook is the new CV, right? Just remember that. Facebook is the new CV. CV means curriculum vitae. What that CV mean? It's like a real Facebook is the new resume. If you have a fan page, you get their attention. If you don't have anything, you are nobody, right? But you got to work really hard offline to build your credibility without Facebook, seriously. So we would encourage you to see Facebook as a branding tool as well, all right? So let me just recap. Location and interest-centric online network. Something like, I don't know, let me just write it down so that you guys can have a visual remembrance of this. Okay, let me just write this down and change it. And you can actually do Singapore real estate network. Okay. You can also do a smaller area like Ang Mo Kio real estate network. Okay. And or even like in Malaysia, you can do Kepong real estate network. A property network, okay, property network. So and build it to a formidable size, pretty much like what we have done here. Oops, okay, couldn't get it working. Now let me just get that. Oh, okay, it's okay. I've got to clean this, and oh, it's behind that slide. Okay. Yeah, okay, I can get it out now. So like Malaysian real estate network. Okay, so that is another what do you call a way to actually get their attention really quickly and build your real estate credibility really fast online. So that's a quick tip, right? So the next one is public figure branding. Like I shared with you, let me just facebook.com. Okay, I'm just going to show you my fan page. Okay, right. Like 4 or 5 years ago, I was nobody, but when I built this fan page to 15,000 people using various methods online, right, from advertising to blogging to creating videos. As you can see, I share a lot of tips on different areas of online marketing and Facebook and social media marketing. Right. Once you build your numbers and you send people to come here, chances of closing is higher because of the credibility they place on the amount of people who's following you. Right. So I'm not saying you can instantly close it, but at least you can get attention, like, and then trust. Right. So that is something for you to consider. Public figure branding. Brand yourself. When you brand yourself, people trust you a little bit more. Okay. And of course, if you can, build a credible and personal and informational website. Okay, let me just quickly pull my website. It's not amazing, or it's not, flashy or something like that. But when you build a website and you put your picture there, you can actually get some attention, right? And when you have a .com, people know that you are serious with business. And of course, if you have a blog, it's even more amazing because you can actually show off your stuff like a CV, right? So I spoke in a real estate talk with Refill Properties recently, right? Okay, I haven't really been updating this blog for quite a long time, since February, right? Getting lazy, right? You can show off your pictures and your credibility just by actually having a blog. You don't really need to blog a lot, right? And so by just having a blog, you can show off your credibility quickly so that you can convert the prospect to make them trust you, right? Another quick tip I want to show you is I've got a bunch of videos in which I have a channel called Dadpreneurs. It has close to over about 150 episodes right now. Okay, 100. I'm not too sure. Haven't launched up to 150. It's 115 now, right? When you have these kind of videos showing tips on real estate, people will actually generally want to gravitate towards you and trust you, and buy from you, right? And so having a YouTube channel will help. Having a blog and a website will help. What I mean by blog is a blog within your website, which is your own .com, to show your seriousness in doing business, your commitment in doing business. So that's 3 things. Let me just go back. You can do location and interest-centric online network like Kapong Real Estate Network, Kapong Property Network. You can brand yourself like Vincent Cheng, your sincere real estate negotiator, and obviously have a website and a blog and even a YouTube channel to increase your credibility online, right? And by increasing credibility online, you build trust, and once you build trust, which is an essential part of the real estate business, you will actually close the sale easier, because once you do these 3 things, you're pretty much branded and trusted quickly using the online channels, right? Which, if you use traditional media, it's a bit slow, right? You got to be always out there and networking, which takes forever, right? So the next thing is there are other online channels and tools which you can use to do online marketing, online branding. There are search engines like Google, and then you can use your Facebook profile, your fan page, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube channel, and obviously a blog. So I mentioned briefly about all these things. Okay, and yeah, so that comes to the end of our Facebook marketing for real estate webinar in a formal way. So thank you for joining us, and take action, whether it's in terms of education, in a workshop, coaching, or actually implementing what we just shared in this short 1-hour webinar which you just listened. Thank you very much, and Vincent Cheng here, signing off for Malaysian Real Estate Network. See you guys again in the future. Bye bye.